Sherban Dajum Bayanda, Lobe Sanje Reba Dan Shazunda, the Varishaban Jedin Jamba Juvan de Hamaji, Lana Mebal Hadam and Anjed, Sanje Jumden, Benya was Shaja to Bala, Chatham, Church, the Ma Jumden and the Sherban Dajum Bayanda, Lobe Sanje Reba Dan Shazunda, the Varishaban Jedin Jamba Juvan de Hamaji, Lana Hadam and Anjed, Sanje Jumden, the Beijing. Shaja to Bala Sasano should have just the Mahajum then the Shinsha one Rajum Yamba. Zobia Sanje, Ribada Shazon, Demba, Devaration, Jiden Jamba Juvan, Deva, Kano Juvan, Lanam, Fada Menanje, Demba Sanje, Jumden, the Beijing. Shaja to Bala Sasano should have just Consequence of Chatham, Sergeant and Combat. Manage then, not shortage, the Zenkaba. Namda Gunga Chato, Susan, Jija, Sergio, Chavan Jeden, some Nabla, Bombo Choni, Senjo Demachi, Menta, Sendo, Tawa, the Reja Rasiva Suma, Jenya, Chenja, Bombo Tuja, and Bottom J. Sonoman and Danger, the Shinship, Taben de Sacha, what you give him yes on that. She did have them show you by Shinjo. China Java Lanya, the Labata, Singa Tamba, and then Gendema, the Vajaya Mizajin Gava, also Ravisim Yonzo, the Tene Sanje, Palmara Rema, you must have sugar. Melon Genda Bondization, Solomon the Yatumje, you command the change. Gada Nada, Shiva Love, Siva Solar, and do operation.
To the teacher, the blessed one, the one.
Can I hear you? Come on.
Completely perfect.
Fully
awakened, perfect in knowledge and.
I guess, Shay. Good to see you.
Supreme guide of beings to attain. Teacher,
thank you.
To you, the completely and fully awakened one. The blessed
what is that?
The Lord is conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan. I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be attained, teacher of gods and humans, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When a supreme among humans you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise then I prostrate. With pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, to you I prostrate. With the supreme science face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the teacher having all understanding, filled with merit of qualities like a vast ocean. To you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime, pure reality, to that Dhamma which pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and always show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of light in the cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the foe false, and be delivered from the ocean of suffering, of aging, sickness, and death.
Sanje Jono Zoje Jono Chanju Bado Dane Jesus. Nagin Jeso Jebe Sonam Je Dola Pinje Sanje Jubush. Sanje Jono Zoje Jono Chanju Bado Dane Jesus. Nagin Jeso Jebe Sonam Je Dola Pinje Sanje Jubush. Sanje Jono Zoje Jono Chanju Bado Dane Jesus. Nagin Jeso Jebe Sonam Je Dola Pinje Sanje Jubush. Sanje Jono Zoje Jono Chanju Bado Dane Jesus. Nagin Jeso Jebe Sonam Je Dola Pinje Sanje Jubush.
I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I created by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I created by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I created by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Tongje Jemala Jan Zelon de la Sanje Jemne and the Shin Wan Tajo Maya no Besan. Rewadan Shazun Deman Devarshan Jiden Hadam Mena Jedamba Sanje Jemne de Azon, the Shin Wan Sonam Dagi. Gevezawana Manchimesa Suvera Dojim, Sonam Jeteran Gish. Beje Sambonam Jeba, Senam Jemba Doji, Jurima, Tona Medibam. Tebemevana Langobraga was Sheriff City, Tona Zibam. Simjatam Jetemba, Chanju Samban, Job. Pabe Hazana Jevo, Yangane, Trojana Jetem. Ishibadam, Boba Sunjim, Sonabata, Sonia, Sonabata, Yanib, Gujet, Chomis, Kusumbam. So that when you want to go to my water, to Mela number two, number two. Come on, the Medemba Jason number the one that should be Yozo Donata. Number two was Siba Lair to a chul and give a Yozo. Deva the Majumba, Tatacho, Sanji Jim, then the Yizena there. Young and the one that Medemba Yanda one Simjatam Jelas, the solid but there. The Dane Sanji Jim, then the Yuquichi, the Yanda one, no more ambition. Tamageva to answer for centers of Madiba, Yozo, Yozo, Yozo Chawan, Yanda, when never Tucheva, when you want them, Detoma, Tinu, Kevana, Sozo, Jim Dendy, was to should the one on their bottom, and your virgin was always a Judah. Mitimba Majin Debatan, Temba, you were Jebo, whatever you given, and never you were rich. Chamboshu, Tumbashu, Temajebe, you were chargeable. So now you pay Jishin, so Joan Bendo to you, Kondo one Bendo to you, Kangi to Zenya on the Dawa Taji Convention, and the Charles. Mimez teaching Jerez and Chimichimbo, when you do one Kanjan Kibet to the Convention, so on the Umawajara, Sumati, Courtesy de home pair. So today is the Tsongkhapa Spring Nirvana Day. So today I'm going to read from the beginning to jumpstart to myself. So all the batteries drain out. So we are discussing in the entering into middle way, commentary by the Lama Tsongkhapa. So as the luminosity, intent of the Buddha, right? Illuminating the intent, illuminating the intent. So is a comment on the entering into middle way. So So entering in the middle way is the Nagarjuna's Mulamadhikarika. So entering means he is going to explain or explain the Prasangika school point of view, editing some methods, the compassions, renunciations, bodhicittas, and that is Chandrakirti's means of entering into middle ways. So if the question is, why do you need to, compose this text, the entering into middle way, Milomadhikarika itself is explaining the vast, explaining the Prasangika school point of view. Why do you need to, explain that, and then says, I want to add some method. And the second, the idea of the entering into middle way is because the middle way, the Mulamadhikarikas, is the kind of source of all many texts. Some of the Chittamala school point of views and middle way autonomous school point of views. They try to explain Mulamadhikarika in their own way. Chittamala also tried to explain Nagarjuna's point of view in the mind-only school. So Baba Vivek and other Chandrakirtis, they're also trying to explain the Nagarjuna's point of view in middle-way autonomous school. So the Chandrakirtis, the idea is, I want to explain the Mulamadhikarika uncommon with mind-only school, middle autonomous school. I want to present the Prasangika school point, the pure, uncontaminated. So that's the purpose of the Chandrakirti's text, the entering into middle way, right? Without mixing with Chittamala school, without mixed with middle way autonomous school, and pure and perfect Prasangika school point of view. So this is why the purpose of composing this text, the entering in the middle way. This is why the illuminating intent by Lama Tsongkhapa, and he's focusing on refuting Chittamala school point of views, middle way autonomous school point of views. So now Chandrakirti and this entering in the middle way, beginning with how he acts, the method side. From the beginning he says the importance of the compassion. To show the importance of compassion, he says, I'm not going to homage to the Buddha or Bodhisattvas. First, I'm going to homage to the compassion, because the compassion is the mother of all the Buddha and Bodhisattvas and all the Arhats, all born from compassion. So therefore, from the beginning, I'm going to pay homage to the compassion. So that's, you see, how, the reason, for the Chandrakirti to enter in the middle way. So you want to act to show the importance of the compassion. And then and about the compassion, and he talks about the, like Lama Tsongkhapa mentioned in three principal paths: renunciations, compassions, renunciations, and bodhicitta and emptiness. Three principal paths, right? So in this way, Chandrakirti also mentioned the compassion and emptiness and bodhicitta. And the compassions, where he says, So compassion, there's the three types of compassion that he mentioned. Compassion with mere sentient beings. Compassion with mere sentient beings, right? You know, and compassions with phenomena, right? Compassions with phenomena means compassion is the one, you know, compassion, compassion associates the wisdom, understanding impermanence, understanding the, absence of independent I, right? And compassion, underpinned with wisdom realizing emptiness which is the absence of intrinsic existence. So three kinds of compassion. So ordinary compassion that, just, focus on the sentient being. And there is no any, the character of it is intrinsic or it is not intrinsic, it is permanent or not impermanent, is this independent I or not independent, without any kind of characteristics. Just sentient beings, general sentient beings. And the thinking that sentient beings are, cycling in samsara with ignorance, with karma, with consciousness, with name and form, with faculties, contact, feeling, craving, grasping, process of becoming, then again birth and aging and death, with 12 links to divine originations, contemplating on the sentient being, so the mere sentient beings. Right? And then the second step of the compassion is, compassion focused sentient beings with characterized with impermanence, or sentient beings characterized with no independent sentient being. Right? So like, and then the third compassions is compassions, how's that? What is the English word for that?
No, I thought it was no reference or
No
compassion with no referential or no something like
non-referential sentient beings, right?
Okay.
Yeah, non-referential compassions. So there's this compassion towards the sentient being, but sentient being itself is not intrinsic. It is relatively existing. It's compassion towards the sentient beings which mere relatively exist, not intrinsic. So, so that's kind of, from the beginning, Chandrakirti mentioned that it's compassion. And then, and then the bodhicittas, focus on bodhicitta. Then after this, we call three principle. And after that, and Chandrakirti goes on to explaining from the ground, the first ground, and second ground, third ground, fourth ground. And in Sanskrit, there's a bhumi, right? So in Tibetan, we call sa, So the bhumi is the ground. It's not necessary to be earth or the soil, So the first bhumi, the ground called perfect joy. Perfect joy is because of the, bodhisattvas, noble being, and having attained the wisdoms that perceives the emptiness directly, so directly, and the plus he has eliminated this, what do you call stinginess, so nothing holding back. There's no even slightly subconscious level in holding back to yourself. It's total,
giving to the sentient beings. So that, Bhumi called perfect joy. No clinging to yourself, anything. So I think this is, in generosity, the perfection of the generosities. And when Jimbe Parji, Jimbas. So Jimba, in literally translated in English, is giving. And in Sanskrit, Hindi, so it's dana, right? So we call dana paramita. So I think more like a giving is kind of not too much focusing on the substance that you're giving. So giving is more referring to sense of clinging to yourself. So that, that kind of the kind of mentality, even the slightest in the subconscious level. So totally eliminating that is to the cause of the perfect joy. Perfect joy. So Jimbe Parjins. The second Bhumi is called stainless. Stainless. Stainless is here the stain referring to immoralities or any seed for the immoralities, any stain or any seed of the immoralities. So that total eliminating with the wisdom that perfectly abiding in emptiness called stainless ground. Stainless ground. And then the third Bhumi, third ground, luminous, right? Luminous. Jimba Sutum Seba. Vesewa, I think Vesewa is luminous, what it actually means, the luminosity is, luminous is the presence of the Bodhisattvas. So very pleasant presence of the Bodhisattvas. Because of that, Bodhisattvas has total eliminate, impatient, total eliminating any seed or cause of impatient. So that makes him a perfect, pleasant appearance, pleasant present, just having, being, Bodhisattvas being present is that perfectly, brings the joy or the comfortable or safe or secure feeling to produce that kind of things. Now, I think we also noticed that, when His Holiness, for the teaching, the hall, before he comes and everybody's talking and making noise and just having present in the hall, it gives you calm and peaceful and safe for a short time, maybe 2 hours maybe. So after that, coming back to the normal again. so that kind of, this is the sign of the person has perfected his patience. So that's called luminous. Rabugawa, Chimamel, Veshavas. And then the fourth ground is called radiant. Shiva Virtuos. Now is first luminous and then virtual. Now Torah Radiance means is kind of, kind of like the, because of his perfections of effort or diligence, his outstanding, his dignity, his magnificent presence is because the Bodhisattvas, have perfected his effort or the diligence, Yeah, then the fifth ground, right? And then the hard to conquer. The hard to conquer means, so for the ordinary people, easy to conquer means, because they are always emotional, they can trick by anything, trick them with emotional, because they are always, succumb to their emotional. So this Bodhisattvas gained the fifth ground, which means he has perfected his concentration. He cannot be distracted. So it's hard to conquer. Here, no one can play with his emotion. No one he can manipulate his emotions. Any appearance, any sound, or any smell can distract him. So hard to conquer. So sixth ground is called, the fifth ground it says, Jimbatsunu Sobatsunu, someday shut up. So then the perfection of the, perfection of the wisdom and manifest, called manifest. Sixth ground is manifest. So now, sixth ground is manifest means means this Bodhisattvas so perfected his wisdom. So I think it's also kind of Bodhisattvas, the one who has perfected his wisdoms. So even appearance, there's no kind of slightly mistake or deceptive. So because of the Bodhisattvas has perfected his wisdom, so that's called manifest. So then I want to read this. I think this is Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna says, here to present in brief the qualities of the Bodhisattvas, they are generosities, moralities, forbearance, and diligence, meditative absorptions, wisdom, compassion, and so on. Generosity in the utter giving up of self-interest. So generosity is what is giving up is self-interest, nothing attached to himself or herself. Morality referred to working for other welfare. So normally we call, according to the Vinaya text, the morality is we call self-liberating, is benefiting from oneself. So in the Mahayanas and the Bodhisattvas, from the Bodhisattva's perspective, morality is not self-liberating, liberating other. So not everything is, First, not killing, not lying is all out of compassion. With compassion, not lying. With compassion, there's no reason to lie. There's no reason to kill. Right. So, morality refers to working for others' welfare. So, generally, according to Vinaya, morality is benefiting for individual, not to the others. So forbearance is to relinquish hostilities, impatient, so disturbing others' mind. So increasing positive deed is diligence. So through Bodhisattvas, his increasing, positivities because of his effort, his diligence in the path that lead to the enlightenment. Meditative exertions, the samden, the concentration, is one-pointedness with no afflictions. So concentrations, meditative exertions or the concentrations brings the pacification in his mind. It's pacified negative emotions. And wisdom is to establish the meaning of the truth. So wisdom understands reality as it is. Compassion is Compassion is an intelligence that cares for all beings equally as if they are all same. They are all same. Now, second negligence is the benefit. What is the result of the generosity? Generosity brings resources, morality, happiness, forbearance, luster, right? So usually called good looking is due to the patient. So diligence, majesty, magnificent appearance. Meditative absorptions brings tranquility. Tanyum, so tranquility is the balancing or pacifying negative emotions or cause of suffering. Wisdom release. The result of the wisdom is, release. It frees you from cause of the suffering, or freed you from defilement. And all aims are realized with compassion heart. Everything can be, all these good qualities is accomplished, when you generate the great compassions. When you have compassion, all these qualities comes. So the compassion is the source of all good qualities. Through simultaneous reflections, through simultaneous perfection of all 7 of these, without exceptions, one attains the lordship of the world itself, the spread of the inconceivable gnosis. So now, here is saying, what is the generosities? What is generosity means? Which means generosity means you have to give up interest for yourself. Right. Now, the idea is you have to give up interest in yourself. Does that mean anything that you do, the practice, should not involve any benefit to yourself. No. Which means interest to yourself. Your any kind of the motivation or intention to do things is not out of self-interest. Right? That means you have to give up way of thinking of that. So anything you do or think is for all sentient beings. So, and then, even though you do not want any, benefit to yourself, you have no, how to say, it is impossible to stop any benefit to yourself. It is naturally the benefit that comes to you. Right? So generosity means that, and what is the result of the generosity is resources, friendships, good relations, good environment, So these are the result of generosity. So the morality is, morality means, what it means is you have to give up or, immorality or pretending. So these are the immorality has the two things. One is the real negative actions. Second is pretending. So these two considers immorality. So giving up that is the morality. And the result of the morality is, you can help if you want to help other people. And there's more, easy, or it is more convenient for you to benefit to others. If you don't give up immorality, if you want to benefit someone, and there's always the obstacles. There's more possible of not succeeding in the benefit to the others. So here the Bodhisattva's Mahayana thinking, morality means to be able to benefit others more easier. Right?
And that's defined as not wanting to harm others in terms of immorality, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to, benefit one of your friend who's alcoholic, and you are also drinking, and you have to tell him, so not drink. And he will say, so who are you?
Yeah.
So this is kind of like the benefit is if you are, disciplined, you can, easy to convince others. So the purpose of the morality is to be able to, successfully benefiting others. So moralities. Sheba and patience or forbearance. I think the patience and forbearance in general, looks like there's a two meaning. If you're patient, you are not, reacting, to in the negative ways. And the second, forbearance means to be able to accept, accept any kind of, any kind of the, harmful or suffering or pain. So I think this is the forbearance in Tibetan we call seva. Generally, we kind of understand that forbearance means accepting the pain or the suffering, right? And now it says not only that, any kind of negative things, if you are able to, not translate that in a negative way, you also, that's the kind of, this is also one of the forbearance, because the negative comes to you, but you don't really accept it. You are not affected by the negative. Is forbearance. So it's almost like, then how can you really stand for that? If someone tells, criticize you, insult you, how can you be, not being disturbed? How can you remain undisturbed? Then that's the Bodhisattva says, one of the Guru Puja says, so Bodhisattvas means, you mentally, internally, you are always joy and happy and satisfied. So like someone who got the bumper lottery, right? And he got 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and then someone is criticizing you, someone is telling you, say, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
So this when you are very happy, and any kind of word cannot land on you and disturb your mind. So that's the forbearance. Means the two things, right? One, that you are able to accept that pain, and the second, that says you are able to protect your mind from any kind of disturbance. So that is also forbearance. So this is why the path of seeing, the two from the beginning, first moment of the path of seeing, we call forbearance. Because why it's saying forbearance is you are newly discover the emptiness and you are experiencing it directly. At that time, this object was totally new to you. You have never experienced that in thousands and billions of life before. So now, as you see, you are able to accept is also forbearance. And also you say someone whose mind is trying to understand emptiness, but the meaning of the emptiness is not digestible for you. So you are not forbearance with meaning of the emptiness. You cannot really, digest that meaning. So you always interpret that meaning as nothingness. So it is not landing on you. So there is no forbearance.
It's not understanding. You understanding, but just cannot accept it.
Yeah, cannot accept. What is the opposite of forbearance?
Something unbearable? Yeah.
Unbearable. Yeah. That's unbearable. Yeah. So some kind of unbearable, Although you want to know, but you cannot bear for that. Because it's every time the meaning comes to you, it tells you nothing exists. Right? Now, this part of seeing, the first moment of that, you're directly experiencing emptiness, and there is no unbearable feeling. So that is called forbearance, perfection of the forbearance. Right? So the forbearance is the patient of the forbearance is, for the ordinary, is being able to accept the pain, So not exaggerating it, not making it bigger, not making a big deal. And is also, conventionally understood as a forbearance. Now here, another forbearance is you are not, any negative things can cause you, disturbance, but you, stayed fast. You kind of, you are able to manage yourself, not being disturbed by that, activities or the activities or the physical activities, right? Because you are so satisfied, you are so kind of joy, you are in so joy. Therefore, this negative things, negative speech, negative actions, negative comment is not landing on you, right? So, and then that's the meaning of the forbearance. The result of the forbearance is everywhere you go, immediately you produce that kind of pleasant environment, you know. So that's luminous or luminous. It's kind of the lights, the energies, you just radiates, that brings everybody in calm state. Right. So yeah, that's called perfection of the patient, and then perfection of joyous effort, right? Joyous effort is, I think here in Tibetan we call conventionally people always interpret that, the joyous effort means hardworking, right? And here the text, what they mean, joyous effort means exciting in the positivities. So that joyous effort.
Exciting,
Yeah.
excited in
Positivities is joyous effort. So is it, conventional mundane language, has different meaning, and the text when they say that joyous effort means having interest, having exciting in the positivities, or seeking liberations, or meditations, or understanding the Buddha's teachings. If you're interested, if you're excited, that's called joyous effort. Anything that you're excited in any positivity is joyous effort. So hardworking is not necessarily be joyous effort. You are maybe not enjoy. You're just sweating, mumbling, and you're working hard. So there's even the same word, but different meaning, interpret in a different world, and the mundane world, and then super mundane world. Yeah. So joyous effort means that excited, very enthusiastic in positive thinking, positive, in study, in meditations, and anything. And then the result of that is, you being always, single out. You be outstanding among the people. You looks, different. So that is the result of that. So that's why it's called radiance, radiant. So, in the perfection of the concentrations, concentration means single-pointed, or single-pointed in single object, or single-pointed in the focal object. This concentration not necessarily to be with one single object, right? So you can concentrate in, contemplating on the 12 links of Nibbana originations. You are concentrate on the impermanence. You are concentrate in the dependent originations. So it's all concentrations, which means you are not distracted. You are not distracted. You are not disturbed. Because your mind is focusing on something positive things. Therefore, this having concentrated on positive thinking, positive object, that not letting you to be disturbed or distracted. And the result of that is the calm, peace, peace state of mind. So the wisdom is the understanding the truth or ultimate truth, which means the result of the wisdom is free, set you free from negative emotions or any kind of cause of suffering. So Chandrakirti, Nagarjuna's praises to the Buddha Shakyamuni in Mula Madhyakarika at the end, Pasham Shivam. So, Shivam is the peace. Peace because of you have pacified all cause of disturbance. So and sometimes the language you see, it's when you say Pasham Shivam, it's a two word, you are in peace because of you have overcome all the disturbance. You have pacified all the cause of the disturbance. So in Tibetan, when you say Choba Nyeshi Shidemas, Nyeshi and Shiva, they both has Shi. So, when you compare the two languages, now I see in the Sanskrit, the Pasham Shiva is more, looks a little bit stand out from that. In English, sometimes they use both sides, peace. And then if you use peace because of pacification, then it's very good. You have pacified, therefore you are in peace. So without pacifying any cause of the disturbance, you cannot be in peace. Right? And what are the cause of the disturbance? And emotions, particularly negative emotions. And then here's an ignorance. And pacifying those ignorance or the emotional. How do you pacify negative emotions? Dismantle all the mental construct. That is the basis for negative emotional to stand up. Right. So negative emotions are active because the mental construct are solidly exists before them. When you dismantle the negative mental construct of the negative emotional, and there is no no base for the negative emotions. There's no feed for the negative emotions. So they die back because there is no feed. Right. When you feed the cow with grass, and the cow will give milk. If you stop feeding them, they won't give you milk. So negative emotions are active, and they produce the result when they constantly feed them with mental construct. So the pasham is pacification. Pacifying the mental construct means dismantling the mental construct. So that's the kind of entering in the middle way. So as I mentioned, the reason Chandrakirti composes this text, entering the middle way, is one, he wants to add importance of the compassion. Second, he wants to, explain the Prasanga school point of view without having mixed with Chittamata school point of views, maybe with autonomous school point of views. So therefore, I think the purpose of that, with that purpose, the Chandrakirti composes the text, the entering into middle way. So you see in this eliminating the intent of the eliminating the intent by Lama Tsongkhapa, why he refuted, with so many reasons, refuting the Chittamata school, is because he was just following the Chandrakirti's, Chandrakirti's comment. It's not showing Lama Tsongkhapa do not like Chittamata school. And the essence eloquence, Lama Tsongkhapa, at the end of the essence eloquence, it says, if someone really want to practice, Tantrayana and minor practice, you have to have a two kind of importance of view, not the Vaibhashika, not the Siddhantika, mind only school and the Prasanga school. It says, with these two, you can, meditate in the Tantrayana, Tantrayana tradition. And some masters, they says, argue that if you practice the Tantrayana with mind-only school, does that mean your view is kind of something, stick with this intrinsic, object. And Lama Tsongkhapa says, stages of the generations and stages of the completions, the two things. So when you meditate in Tantrayana traditions with mind-only school, and eventually it turns into Prasanga school. So that's the benefit in the Tantrayana systems. Yeah, so you have any questions now? Questions from last year?
You mentioned our negative emotion is feeding or causing constructions. And pacifying construction brings peace.
A negative emotion is not causing it. Negative emotion is simply active, by, grasping on the mental construct. Right.
So it's more like mental construction is causing.
Yeah. So the negative emotions is constantly feeding the mental construct. Means negative emotions, to be energized, to be strengthened, is because of believing in the mental construct. The mental constructs, I says, is created, projected through letters and languages. Right. So the mental constructs, from the letters, the languages, construct many meanings, and it's separating, and then ease the emotions. Find, this is a very delicious food, It's buffet, there's a buffet. So negative emotions grows grow themselves from feeding the mental construct. And then says, what is the mental construct? mental construct is mental projections. Mental projections means there are two kinds of mental projections. One that is exaggerated, superimpositional mental construct. Another is mental construct simply exists because of relativities. So relativities mental construct is saying that most simple thing is the braid consists of the four substances, right? Form, smell, taste, textures. That is relatively constructed. The concept of the braid, the meaning of the braid to the mind consists of four substances. If you ask eye consciousness, what is the braid? Eye is brown or white, something like that. That's the only thing. For the eye consciousness, there's no sweet braid, there's no sour braid. For the nose, is sweet or sour or something. Other than that, no color, white, no brown. So for the mind, the braid is not just smell, it consists of four substances. And then again, for the intellectual people, and for them, a braid is not just four substances. It is also 8 substances, consists of 8 substances. Without the space, without air, without the heat, without the moistures, without the solidity, earth, and braid cannot be exist. And they add another 4 substances. For the intelligence, braid consists of 8 substances. For the ordinary people, braid consists of the 4 substances. So that is relatively constructed, another level of the meaning of the braid. So mental construct, some of this is philosophically, superimposition of mental construct is Atma, the permanent I, eternal soul. These are the superimpositional mental construct. That is not generally not exist. Even conventionally is not exist. So the braid as consists of the 8 substances or 4 substances is generally exist. Conventionally it exists. Conventionally is not a non-existing. But ultimately, objectively, there is no consist of the 4 substances or 8 substances. So composite phenomena, component phenomena are relatively, is through the letters and languages, is constructed. That is conventionally exist. Objectively, intrinsically, ultimately not exist. So all this conventional existing in the mental construct or superimpositional mental constructs, all of them, are the feeding for the emotionals. So therefore, the emotional is so powerful, so kind of, overpowering on your mind. Yeah, that's pretty much good enough for jump start. Now we will start with next Sunday. Any questions? Yeah.
actually, yeah, I did think upon this a lot. So when it comes to, what was it? Joyous effort. So that's makes me think of how if you're practicing generosity and you give somebody something and maybe you get a sense of happiness that you did that, joyous effort can be rejoicing in that good action. But that's not necessarily this, it's not the same as if you're rejoicing and you're like, I'm such a good person, I did this thing, right? There's a little bit of it.
Yeah.
It's acceptable
Rejoice yourself.
It's acceptable to rejoice in doing something good and feel good about it, but not necessarily if it's based in ego, right? Like that's kind of what it's saying, or
I think that's another level of to kind of to correct your joyous effort. Now right now we are talking about what is the joyous effort.
right.
Can you excitement, in any kind of positivities, your actions or other actions, your others positive activities or your positive activities, you are excited, you are happy about it, you are kind of you think it's right to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all considered as joyous effort.
Mm-hmm.
So then some of the joyous effort, maybe that can be contaminated, by rejoicing your own activities. You may develop some kind of arrogance and pride on that. And that is another kind of that's the extra work for yourself, But it's the first thing was good, and the second that you added with that, you stop improving. That is opposite of a joyous effort. So joyous effort, I think what joyous effort is supposed to produce is more work, more positive thinking. So in some people, one joyous effort, first is joyous effort, and then, it turns into, the opposite of a joyous effort. Like, you eat some kind of medicine, and the medicine did not go through the stomach, it's stuck there, and then it is, it's supposed to benefit you, but instead of benefiting, it causes more pain and suffering and other problems. So this is like, first is joyous effort, second is no longer is joyous effort. So same thing, generosity is also like that. If first generosity is the practice of, generosity. It is out of compassion you give something. By giving it, and then you think, I should be, I should deserving the respect, but I don't really get much respect from these people. So your compassion now, disrobed. So it's kind of with condition, it can turn in the opposite way. So holy to unholy. So turn right, with some condition it can be, because everything is impermanence, everything is dependent originations. So now with depending on some condition it become positive, but depending on another condition it can be negative. This is why he said the perfections means two things combined, and then every action becomes perfect. Compassion and the wisdom. So this is why we need, we try to generate the compassion and the wisdom together. When these two together, everything that, you do positive activities, and that cannot be turned into negative, because these two, always hold them, and not to turn into any negative things. So it's not flip. It's not going to flip, because there's a two powerful condition. What we call rail, and the rail, two powerful guardrails. So compassion, and on the other side, the wisdom is there. So there is no, possible of, get distracted. So I think in the Buddhist argument is this we call tabi kyawangabjas, there's a story of the Buddha Shakyamuni before he became the Bodhisattvas, and the story of the Buddha Shakyamuni after become the Bodhisattvas. So before the Bodhisattva, before compassion, there's a story of him being great scholar, and he was very successful in debating. But there are many, there's one time that he was debating with many scholars. He defeated all of them, and then he got really kind of excited, and then he debated with some arhats, and he knows that these arhats are not easy to defeat. He started giving them a nickname. So they got, suddenly they kind of quiet, because so when he, out of negative mind, he started giving a nickname, and arhat sensed that now this is going to cause him falling the lower round. And they just quiet. He thought he got victory. So then next life he born in the lower realms. There's many stories. The life story of the Buddhas before Bodhisattvas, and after the Bodhisattvas, there are many. Every time there's always story of he was listening so much, relying on his mother's advice. So mother always says, "Go, just defeat them." So tomorrow you're going to, debate with those great masters. They consider as arhat. You cannot really defeat them, with your, intelligence. You have to, from the beginning, you have to make them, uncomfortable. So, I don't know, that's the kind of mothers, So, during the Buddha Shakyamuni, there's a sutra of old lady. So one lady, she was 120 years old or something, very old lady, came to Buddha, and she asked so many questions. And each of the questions is very profound, And Buddha patiently, very detailed, answering each of the questions. And it's Shariputra and there's some of the disciples standing by, and they got very shocked. This old lady, the way she asked, very profound. It's almost like she was kind of, very knowledgeable, And then after the old woman was very satisfied with Buddha's answer, and then she left. And Shariputra says, "Who's this old lady? So it seems like she was very knowledgeable, very kind of highly knowledgeable. And Buddha says, oh, she was the one, being my mother for 100 lives. So maybe she's the one advised her Buddha to go defeat it. So yeah, there's a so sutra, so old lady. Yes, there's sutra. So yeah, so what I'm trying to say is, as you mentioned, that guardrail, compassion, and wisdoms, everything that you do become positive. That there's no turning negative, because of the two conditions, two powerful, support, compassion and wisdom. So everything that you say or do become all, and the positive and continuous, enhance that wisdoms. Enhancing qualities, yeah, because of the compassion and wisdoms. Otherwise, you can develop some kind of very, effortfully generating practice with generosities, and then at the end, it turns into negatives. Become immoralities and turn into negatives. So there's a story in the Vinaya text. So one of the monk following the monastic disciplines, and the discipline says, you should not cut in the branches of the trees, the grass. So, and the one monk who is in the retreat, maybe it looks like maybe he's in the cave, and outside the cave there's a tree. So tree branches always blocks his way. And many times he just, what do you call
Hit his head.
hit his head, the branch. And one day he was very angry, What is nonsense, the discipline? What is this? Why are you not allowed to cut the tree? And then he cut the tree and says, this is nonsense, morality. It's Vinaya text is not making sense at all. And next time he born with a big snake, there's a tree on his head. so kind of like, instead of violating, he emotionally reject that. It's not violated by negative emotion. He intentionally, reject. So that caused him falling into lower realm. So, yeah, and also there's a story of one of the great nun. So considered arhat. She was very, very intelligent. When she gave teachings, sometimes Shariputras and many of the great masters comes to listen to her teaching. So one time, when Buddha was, descended from the heaven, came to earth, and a lot of kings and ministers and all the men, they just, invite the Buddha, and she wanted to see the Buddha because, she was just pushed away. And she thought, oh, maybe because I'm a woman, so they're not allowing me. And she kind of, played the miracle, like a king, and a lot of, attendants with elephants, and she just come, and everybody goes away. And then Buddha just kind of look in this way, and she knows that I'm not allowed to do that. And she just, what do you call, she
Changed back.
changed back
Yeah.
to the normal nun. So that's one of the monastic, rules she violated.
Mhm.
Although she is arhat, so this was kind of, she did not reject because she wanted to, get through this, crowd.
Mhm.
So for that reason, she just changed her back to the king, So this, the monk who has cut the branch is very anger, says nonsense, or does not make sense. So even the violation has a different, how to say, different levels to, some are high negative, some are medium, some just the negative. So Tongpanyi in emptiness is also, some people, they kind of, they could not really digest that. And it is pounding on their arrogant pride. So they reject emotionally, the Prasangika school point of view, emptiness, and that's also a negative karma. And could not understand, I rather follow my own school. I reject Prasangika school. Then there is no negative. So maybe I'll tell still have time in order to kill the times, I have to say something. So there's no question. So here the Nagarjuna says, so every time you had to understand, to value the meaning of the emptiness, you have to understand what is the purpose of the emptiness. What is the emptiness itself? And what is the meaning of the emptiness? What it meant, emptiness. What is meant to you. So now, first the purpose of the emptiness is to end the cyclic existence, to end the cause of suffering, which means purpose of the emptiness is to attain the liberation. And then second says, what is the emptiness itself? Emptiness itself is nothing but, negation of the negation of the intrinsic, property. It's just absence of mere space, mere absence of intrinsic property. And what it means, emptiness means not nothing. Emptiness means relatively existing. So if you understand what it means, the emptiness means relatively existing. Emptiness is the absence of the intrinsic property, and the purpose of the emptiness to attain the liberation. Then you won't criticize on the meaning of the emptiness. You will dispute, you will criticize emptiness because if you interpret the emptiness means is nothing, then it's the problem. Right? Emptiness means relatively. Emptiness is mere absence of obstructive intrinsic property. And purpose of the emptiness is to liberation, to set free yourself from all the cause of the suffering. So Nagarjuna says, if you understand this, you may not kind of criticize, you may not reject the emptiness. Every time when you reject, you see it's not making sense because you interpret emptiness means nothing. Because you have emptied intrinsic property. Your intrinsic property means to you existing. You empty the existing, remain nothing. So that's how you think, oh, this is something problem. There's something big mistake. So the purpose itself and meaning, that's very important. So minority school often criticize the Prasanga school point of view because for the minority school, emptiness of intrinsic property means become nothing to the minority school. Therefore, minority school often comes back and criticizing. And how can you say there is a Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha? How can you say there is a law in cause and effect? Because you believe in the absence of intrinsic existence. Right? This is naturally, because it's absence of intrinsic means to you is nothing, then there is reason to dispute. So concept of arising, concept of birth and arising, being born. So then says, being, for example here, the arising is not with things, any kind of result that arisen. Arising is not possible with things that are not born. Therefore, arising is not intrinsic. Means there is no objectively I can pinpoint arising is here. Right? So the Prasanga school said that is emptying the intrinsic property. That is not negating or annihilating the existing of the concept of arising. So arising understood, when you bring, two kinds of image, the seed that you have, planted or sown in soil, right? And the result that you are seeing it. And then you say, yes, there is arising. Because this, I plant, this happened, therefore, arising is there. But that does not mean arising is things that is already arisen. Anything that is already arisen has no arising, it is arisen. Arisen and arising is contradictory. So with relations, as emptiness means relatively, emptiness means relatively it exists. Only it can exist is relatively. Only it can exist is conventionally. So, which means emptiness means, yes, it exists with, bringing two kinds of image, planting the seed, having the result, sowing the seed and harvesting, and two image, and I can see in my mind, I can, construct in my mind, there is existing of arising. That is the conventional. And that very means to the Prasangik school, not intrinsic. So emptiness is emptying intrinsic property, not emptying the existing. So this is why, so karmas, karma, karma is also, say, because of some karma, negative karma or the positive karma, I am, experiencing the consequences of the karma, right? So negative karma consequences I experience, that makes me uncomfortable. And, with positive karmas, the consequences that I experience, I feel happy and joy. So with that result, I'm going to say, yes, karma exists. So the karma that is constant causing, producing the result, the consequences all the time. If you say, if that karma is within you, within you means with that pain, with that joy, and then it is mistaken. Say the fruit that you eat, say, oh, because of that seed that I plant, now I'm seeing that seed is in here. That's a mistake, right? So the existing of that seed, with relation to this fruit, the existing of their seed, I can understand. Now, existing of their seed in here, that does not make sense. Existing of that seed in the past, that does also not make sense. Past means cease to exist. It cannot be exist there. But with relation to the result, the cause must have exist. So that means, Prasangik school, the karma is not intrinsic property, but relatively it exists. So when you have, accident in 20 years back, and now when you see the doctor says there's some kind of, some problems in your body, part of your body, because you must have some accident in the past. And you say, yes. So that accident is, known to be existing because of this pain after 20 years. Accident is not happening here with this pain. So accident is not existing somewhere in 3 times, but accident is, undeniably it exists because of the pain. So that's called relatively existing. Because there is no basis to ground that, but it's constantly proving that happened, that exists, that might have that had happened because of this result. So you see, not intrinsic property means, it is not groundable, but it's always proven to be existing with, with some relation. So in grammar, grammatical world, that accident can be, what's that, past, present. So had happened.
Yeah.
Right? Had happened is the present. Happen is present, right? Had means the past.
Right.
Something happened in the past.
Right.
So it can be possible. The grammatical how's the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it is in the actual world. Had happened is it happened?
Mm-hmm.
It happened means present. It is still present in the past.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no happening in the past.
Right.
Because once it's happening, it has to be present.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no happening and it is being passed. So language says yes. So logically, there is no proof. Will be happening, present with future. There is no present and the future together. So that's what I'm saying. Every construct is, always created, projected through the letters and the languages. And each of them mental constructs. Every time the mental construct, they're projected in the mind, and that feed to the emotionals grasping on them, and then that can cause the what called turbulence in the mind. So usually we call I was driving at the time. So the driving means present. Was means past. So the present in the past. So language is possible. So with language, yes, because the karma has caused this pain in the present time, therefore karma must have exist. The karma is existing. And then says karma is in your pain, in this body, right? So, and when, who sees this karma is, committed with this body. So when this body, this particular mind is not, present mind is not really engaged or committed in the karma, but within this body, within this mind, you can experience the consequences of that karma. Right? So the present is the proof of past. That does not mean the past exists in the present. So if the present is proof of past, that proves past exists. That does not prove the past exists in the present. That does not prove the past exists in past. So then, and exists where? Nowhere in the three times. So that's why there's no intrinsic. So, yeah. So we try to eat up our mental construct, if you have good teeth. So and the Pemakadam Guru Mache, when he born in Lotus, and one of the ministers asked, which caste you belongs to, who is your mother's, and what you eat. So, and then that young Guru Mache, Rigni Yingrings, my caste is, Yings means ultimate reality. I just born with ultimate reality. And then mother is wisdom. I eat thought. So So anything that you project, concept I eat is. So because every time you just create, project, and it never land on me. I understand all of this, and absence of intrinsic. So therefore, I eat your thought, your concept. So we says, oh, I was just buried in the thought. So if each thought comes, I was just overpowered. It's every thought is landing on me. Every language, every term land on me. So there's no moment that I can be very satisfied. I can find my secure, because every thought comes and land on me. So yeah. Chanju semjo rinpoche, ma jeba na jeju je, jeba nyamba, mewa nya, kono pyoche. Tonye tawa rinpoche, ma jeba na jeju je, jeba nyamba, mewa nya, kono pyoche. Pama simje tamje, deda tenju je, ngenro tamje, tato tongwa. Chanju sembo kanda sushu, deda gunje, monom juju je. Kare rabe kubi shinga su, pendante wa mulu juwe. Jere zon, tenzin jazu, shebe, side pado tenju je.
May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. May the precious mind realizing emptiness not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. Due to all these merits, may all Father and Mother sentient beings have all happiness. And may all the lower realms be empty forever. Wherever there are bodhisattvas, may all their prayers be accomplished immediately. In the sacred land surrounded by snow mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. O powerful Chandrakirti Tenzin Gyatso, remain in this world until samsara ends.
Thank you much.